Hey guys, my name is Suneet. I am making this video to talk about Hack Reactor and the fact that I just signed up for the part-time online Hack Reactor software immersive for web development. And I kind of wanted to make a video just talking about my background a little bit and the whole process of um, going to Hack Reactor, or rather getting accepted to it, and what is required with that, and then what the steps are going forward. And I know that when I was learning about web development and why I wanted to do it and whatnot, I had a lot of questions, and there are a ton of videos of people talking about this, but they also don't answer a lot of questions I had. So hopefully, I mention some of those topics that I wasn't able to get an answer to, and if anybody has any questions, you can put in the comments below, and I can definitely answer them. So my background is, like I said, I'm 30 years old. I studied civil engineering, so I have an engineering background, but I never did engineering for work. I was working in construction management. I actually am working in construction management right now, and I have wanted to change in career for a while. I am not super passionate about construction management, and I don't really know what I'm passionate about, but software engineering seems like pretty interesting and fun, and I would say also more modern and relevant to the current day type of field. And there are a lot of young people in it, and a lot of companies now all utilize some level of software engineering in their websites and in the type of work they do. So I think it's a very relevant skill set to have, and it's definitely something that's modern. So that's why I wanted to learn this and go in this direction. And so yeah, so that's my background. And one of the things I was worried about was being too old to start this, because some people seem to start it in their early 20s. Some people somehow know they want to do this, when they're teenagers, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm prepping for this. But I think at that point it's a bit too early to really know what you want to do. And overall, I think 30 years old is a perfectly good age to start this. I've had work experience, so I kind of know what I like and what I dislike, and I have real motivation to take this seriously because I'm putting my own money into this, and it's not like college where I personally didn't take it as seriously, even though I did go through a rigorous course and a rigorous degree, but um, I didn't really know if I was interested in it or not. So with this, I do know I'm interested in this, and I have reasons for wanting to do it, and so I think it's a good choice. And so, what was required to start at Hack Reactor? So the first thing is I talked to some friends who had gone through this boot camp before, and they recommended it. I did a bunch of online research, and Hack Reactor seemed like a good boot camp. They seem to have a very rigorous and thorough curriculum, which is, I think, the most important thing. Obviously, it's 2020. Boot camp started, close to 2010, and the impression I get is that in those early years, you go through the boot camp and you pretty much got a job. Nowadays, it's a lot harder to get a job, but it still seems like it's possible. You just have to take it really seriously, learn a lot, go to a good boot camp. So like Hack Reactor is one of them. I think the only other ones that came up in my research that seemed legit were General Assembly and App Academy, I believe. So I think with one of those three, you probably are in good shape. Um, so Hack Reactor, what was required for it was so after learning about it, deciding I want to go with Hack Reactor, you have to do what is it called? A prep course. You have to prep for it to take this technical assessment, which is kind of like your interview to get accepted to the program. So you have to learn about basic JavaScript and yeah, just basic JavaScript. And they have a free prep course you can take. on the Galvanize website. Galvanize is who owns Hack Reactor now. I think Galvanize might have been bought by somebody else too, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so you have to do the prep course, learn basic JavaScript, pass the TAA, the technical assessment admissions assessment, which is basically like an interview. You just do it on Zoom, and they put you on another site, and you have to answer these JavaScript questions. You just do some coding, and you have to speak. You have to talk out loud your thought process of what you're doing, which is what they train you to do in the prep course as well. So they also have a premium prep, which you pay for. I didn't feel like I needed that at all. I personally took a long time on the prep course, not necessarily because it was hard, but because I just honestly I kind of did it like kind of sneaked it in at work, like during lunch and stuff, and like maybe a little bit after that too. So I would kind of do an hour a day kind of thing. Took me a while to get through it. I took my time, wasn't didn't feel like I was in any rush. I don't know, maybe somewhere between 3 to 5 ish months is how long I took. I think you can probably do it a lot faster if you were in a time constraint. You could probably do it in a month if you really, you know, you probably wouldn't even have to put a lot of time to get it done in a month, honestly. But definitely doable. And I took the technical admissions assessment, and I can do a separate video on that too. Pass that, and then once you're accepted, you basically have to pay them money, and then they let you take the pre-course. So that's even more studying you have to do before you actually start the boot camp. And that's the level, that's where I'm at right now. So I literally just paid my deposit. The tuition right now is $17,980, I believe. They need you to pay $2,000 of that in tuition upfront. And then I chose a split payment method, meaning I'm going to pay this in cash, essentially. You pay the $2,000 deposit, and then at the beginning of the program, which is starting in about 18 days, you pay like 7,000 of the dollars, and then maybe like a month later, you pay the remainder of it. So it's kind of staggered, but you're not paying any more than the total. There are some other payment options. Again, that's could be a separate video as well, but that's the payment method that I'm going with. And so I'm waiting to get the prep course materials. I guess it's going to be an email, and then you click the link or something. You probably have access to like a website where you have to do a bunch of problems. And this is more the advanced JavaScript, and you learn more about how essentially JavaScript is used within websites. You learn about the DOM, which is the document object model, and there's some other things you learn. There's when you do the prep course, there's modules, and I think you have to do modules 0 through 4 to get to the technical admission assessment level of what you need to know. And then after that, they have bonus modules 5 through 7, and from what I can tell, that those bonus modules are what is covered in the pre-course, the same type of material. So I kind of went through some of that already, so I kind of had an idea of what's going to be in the pre-course. I assume the pre-course is going to be more in-depth. They say it takes anywhere from 90 to 120 hours. So you definitely need, I would say give it like 3 weeks. I have less time than that because I signed up for this kind of late. So we'll see hopefully I can pass it. The impression I get is that if you don't pass the prep course on time, you can defer to a later cohort, a later session for your bootcamp, and I think you are not penalized for that, so that's a good thing. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. And then the reason I'm doing a part-time bootcamp as opposed to full-time, initially I was going to do full-time, but I'm doing part-time because of the whole coronavirus thing going on right now. Um, the economy is not doing that great, and I didn't really feel comfortable quitting my current job to start a boot camp. And I'm not 100% sure what the state of the tech industry is right now. It doesn't seem to be doing as bad as a lot of other industries, but in general, it's doing worse. So it's going to be harder to get a job right now, and maybe even in 3 to 6 months, it might be hard to get a job. and that's when I would finish the regular boot camp. Would be about 4 months from now. However, so the part-time boot camp is 9 months long. So I'm hoping that in 9 to 10 months, the economy has recovered, and by then it should be an easier time to get a job. I'm still anticipating it to be difficult. At least a couple of months of job searching is going to be required, is what I'm planning for. And so the other benefits are obviously I can keep my jobs, I can keep earning money. It's the schedule is for this part-time cohort is Tuesdays and Thursdays 6 to 9 p.m. and then Saturdays 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then you have to do other work in addition to that, maybe a couple 3 hours a day on the other days. So about 20 hours a week is what I'm told, and that seems better for me because you have more time to do other things in your life. Like I want to have time to work out, cook food, and try to date. So that's kind of the three other things I want to try to include in my life, and maybe hang out with friends. May have to alternate weeks for when I can do some of those things, and the next week I can do some other things. But it definitely seems to be able to afford me the time to do other things because it's 3 times as long as a regular boot camp. And then also the boot camps right now, even the 3 month ones, they're all remote. They're not in person. So I think there's definitely a big benefit in doing a boot camp in person because you can talk to people, you make friends, you make personal connections that you're not going to get necessarily with doing a remote boot camp. But everything is remote right now because of COVID. So, you know, doing the 3 month boot camp, I'm not going to get the benefit of that anyway. So, might as well keep my job, take this slowly. Luckily, I'm not in any pressure to um, do this really quickly. And I think that's why I decided to do the part time boot camp. And also in general, I think doing it slowly will allow me time to better absorb the material. A 3 month boot camp is they describe it like drinking out of a fire hose. There's gonna be a ton of information. A lot of it, not a lot of it, but some of it you're not gonna be able to absorb. And over time, maybe after the boot camp or in your own private time, you're supposed to be able to kind of pick up, maybe understand that material better. But with it being spread out over 9 months, I anticipate it's going to be an easier time to absorb some of this material. So that's my status for right now. I'm planning to make more videos. I want to talk about the pre-course material because I haven't seen any information on that online, on Reddit or on YouTube or anything. For some reason, nobody talks about it. And I've heard that can be tough, but I'm confident that I should be able to handle it. So I'm going to sign out for now, and we'll provide more of an update later. Peace.